Hello, everyone. My name is Lucy, and I'm 25 years old. Today, I want to share a journey that could be yours, to a journey of speaking English fluently and confidently. But before we dive into it, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that tingling, nervous feeling before speaking in English? Or maybe you've thought, will they understand me? Will they laugh at me? I felt that, too. Imagine standing in front of a group, wanting to say so much, yet feeling so little confidence. That feeling is real, isn't it? It's like a quiet weight that holds us back from what we truly want to express. But here's the beautiful thing, it doesn't have to stay that way. Think for a moment about the power of language. Imagine being able to express yourself so freely that people actually listen to you and understand your ideas clearly. You can share your dreams, your passions, and even your fears in a way that others will respect and admire. Now, why should you listen to me? Well, because I was once in your shoes. I know how it feels to be on the outside looking in, watching others talk smoothly and with such ease, while I was afraid to open my mouth. I know how you feel if you've ever doubted yourself, or if you've ever thought fluency was for others, but maybe not for you. But believe me, it is for you. It's for anyone willing to take that first step. So, let's talk about why learning to speak English fluently is so important. English is not just a language, it's a doorway, an opportunity, a path to connect with millions of people worldwide. Imagine meeting people from different countries, learning about their lives, and sharing your own all through the power of English. Imagine applying for that dream job and feeling confident during the interview. Imagine giving a speech in front of a large audience and feeling like you're truly heard. This isn't just about speaking, it's about opening new doors, gaining confidence, and creating new opportunities for yourself. And here's why you need to stay with me today, because fluency in English is not just something that others can have. It's something that you can have. I am going to share not only my story, but a way, a path that will help you move forward. There will be moments of excitement, fear, hope, and triumph. But above all, there will be the promise of progress, and that progress can be yours. There was a time when I was just like you, sitting in a room, nervous to speak up, my thoughts swirling in English but my words stumbling, unsure. Every time I opened my mouth, it felt like every word was under a spotlight. Will they judge me, I thought. What if I make a mistake? The fear was so real, and I kept quiet, thinking silence was better than the embarrassment of not being understood. But deep down, I knew I wanted more than silence. I wanted to share my ideas, to laugh without fear, to say my dreams out loud, and to feel that connection that only comes when we truly communicate. One day I met someone who changed my life. They looked at me and asked, "Lucy, what's stopping you?" I laughed nervously, trying to brush it off, but they continued. They asked, "What would it feel like if you could speak freely without worrying in that moment?" I felt a spark. I could almost see myself, confident, talking without hesitation, people listening and understanding. I felt a mix of excitement and fear, but mostly a sense of wonder. Could I really be that person? Could I really speak confidently, fluently? Then, they told me something that touched my heart deeply. Fluency doesn't mean perfect. It means being brave enough to share who you are, even if you make mistakes. It's about finding your voice and letting it be heard. Those words gave me courage. It wasn't about being flawless, it was about being willing. I didn't need to be perfect to start, I just needed to start. In the days that followed, I began to change my approach. I didn't wait for the perfect words or perfect sentences. I began to speak, even if it wasn't perfect. I learned that mistakes weren't my enemy. In fact, they became my best friends, teaching me what worked and what didn't. I practiced with friends who encouraged me, who didn't laugh at my errors but helped me correct them. Slowly, I started feeling the thrill of connecting with others, even if my sentences weren't flawless. Every day, I reminded myself why I was doing this. I wanted to connect. I wanted to share my ideas. I wanted to be understood. And for each small step I took, I felt my confidence grow. With each passing day, my journey became not just about learning a language, but discovering something deep within myself. I remember one evening vividly, sitting with a friend at a cafe. I was practicing my English, fumbling through a story, struggling with some words, and I could feel my cheeks flush. But my friend leaned forward, genuinely listening, eyes sparkling with interest, and nodded along. He wasn't laughing, he wasn't judging. Instead, he was fully there with me, understanding what I was trying to say. That moment touched me more than any fluent sentence could. I realized that, more than being perfect, speaking is about being real and being heard. The next day, I felt more motivated than ever. I wanted more of those moments where language didn't feel like a barrier but a bridge. I started talking to strangers, ordering my coffee in English with a little more confidence, asking questions, and smiling at the people around me. Sometimes, my words would come out all wrong, and I'd laugh at myself, but with every small mistake, I was growing stronger, more open, and less fearful. I could feel my fear slowly turning into excitement, and I started to feel a little more free. But it wasn't always easy. There were still days when doubt crept in, days when I felt like I wasn't improving fast enough. I remember one time, sitting in a group discussion, listening to others speak so fluently, so easily. I was afraid to jump in, afraid that my words would sound awkward or out of place. And as I sat there, feeling that old nervousness rise up, I heard a little voice inside me say, "Just try. Just say something." I took a deep breath and shared my thoughts, a bit hesitantly at first, but then with a growing confidence. And as I spoke, I saw nods, smiles, people were listening. That night, I went home feeling a rush of pride. It wasn't because I spoke perfectly, I made plenty of mistakes. It was because I spoke at all. I didn't let fear stop me. In that moment, I realized something powerful. Confidence doesn't come from waiting until you're perfect. It comes from trying, from stepping into those small moments of fear and finding your way through them. It's about giving yourself permission to speak, even when it feels hard. As the days turned into weeks, I noticed more and more changes. I began to hold my head a little higher. I felt my shoulders relax as I spoke, my words flowing more naturally. I stopped worrying so much about each little detail and started focusing on the person I was speaking with, the connection I was building. And with every conversation, I felt my confidence bloom like a flower opening in the sun. There was something beautiful happening inside me, a quiet shift, a growing ease with who I was becoming. Each time I spoke, it felt like a step closer to the version of myself I had always wanted to be. One day, I remember walking into a bookstore. There was a small group gathered for a poetry reading, and I could feel that familiar nervous energy fill the room. A part of me wanted to slip away, unnoticed, back to the comfort of silence. But then I thought, what if this is another chance? I decided to stay, my heart pounding, hands a bit shaky, yet feeling strangely excited. When it was my turn to read, I felt all those old fears trying to surface. But I looked out at the faces in front of me and remembered why I had started this journey. I was here to connect, to share, to be a part of something bigger than my fears. So, I took a deep breath and began. My voice trembled at first, but as I read, I found a rhythm, a flow, and suddenly, the words felt like mine, my own story, my own journey. The audience listened closely, and I could see something wonderful happening. They weren't just hearing my words, they were feeling them. Afterwards, a woman approached me with a warm smile and said, "Your words moved me. I felt my heart swell, my fears melting away." In that moment, I understood that speaking wasn't about having perfect grammar or a flawless accent. It was about sharing something real, something honest. It was about being open enough to let others in, even if it meant showing my vulnerabilities. I realized that confidence is born not from perfection, but from the courage to simply show up as yourself without hiding. From that day on, I made a promise to myself I would keep speaking, keep trying, no matter how imperfectly. I would embrace the stumbles, the awkward pauses, the laughs, and the mistakes, because each one was a step forward. And as I did, something magical happened. My mind stopped racing, my thoughts became clearer, and my words began to feel like a true expression of who I was. I wasn't just learning English, I was finding my voice. With time, I saw my world open up in ways I hadn't imagined. I started joining discussions, making friends from different places, sharing my ideas, and even exploring dreams I hadn't dared to think about before. I felt a new, vibrant part of myself waking up, and every moment felt richer, more alive. I could finally walk into a room, introduce myself, share my thoughts, and feel at ease. And with each interaction, each conversation, I felt like I was painting a new story, a story of growth, courage, and self-discovery. As I moved forward, I realized this journey wasn't just about speaking a language, it was about discovering the strength inside me, the resilience that lay quietly waiting. With each conversation, each shared moment, I felt more connected not only to others, but also to myself. It was as if I was uncovering pieces of my heart I hadn't seen before, all because I dared to try, to speak, and to be understood. There was a night when I was speaking with a friend about dreams, hopes, and the things that make us who we are. We laughed, we shared stories, and it struck me how effortless it felt to be myself, to let my words flow without fear. And my friend said something I'll never forget, "Lucy, when you speak, it's like you're giving a part of yourself to the world." It brought a tear to my eye, because I knew how far I had come. Speaking had once felt so daunting, but here I was, sharing, connecting, and finding joy in it. So, to anyone listening, know this fluency doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey, one that asks for patience, courage, and above all, kindness toward yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to feel unsure. Because every little step forward, no matter how small, is part of the path to fluency and confidence. The beauty lies not in perfect sentences, but in the courage to let your voice be heard. And here's my final thought for you, one that has stayed with me: when we allow ourselves to speak freely, we let the world see who we truly are. The more we share, the more our hearts open, and the more we discover that language is not just about words, it's about connection, understanding, and the courage to be seen. Keep going, keep speaking, and remember your voice matters.